Welcome everybody back to another episode of Monday Night Muscle. I'm your host, Sean Ray, with my sidekick, Bob Ciccarello, the voice of professional bodybuilding, and I brought him a very special present.
Oh,
Bob,
I'm afraid to
open the box.
Look. Oh,
open the box. A little chocolate for you.
Oh. Bro, a life-sized statue.
That's the Sandow you never got, Bob. Don't say I never gave you nothing.
Look at they even got the earrings on there. So. They look a little Durham Charles this year.
I'm in the gift of giving. Hey, we don't all look alike, Bob. Come on.
Yeah, you know, you said that. I didn't.
All right.
Not a bad. Let's put that right there for good luck.
That's
bro.
the Iron Idol. He's too short to be in the shot. But anyways, we got a special guest joining us, a champion by way of Texas, our last champion who won the New York Pro competition in the classic physique division, Bob. Very rarely do we see a guy come out with a great physique from the physique division and move into the classic division and make a splash. Let's welcome to the show, by satellite, Logan Franklin. Welcome to the show, Logan.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on.
What's up, Logan?
What's going on, Bob?
Listen, you introduced him as he's been in a champion in a few different divisions, but this is of no surprise to me because me and Logan go way back. And you'll remember, Logan, you and I had a conversation at the Arnold, probably, 3 years ago now, I remember? And we were discussing the idea. Like, I had this crazy notion that you should be in classic physique. You remember that?
That's right. Yeah, I was actually at the very first Arnold Classic I competed in 2018. I hit some shots backstage for you, and I was asking you and I believe George Farrow was with you, and I was asking you guys what y'all thought about certain poses, if I looked okay in them, and you said pretty clearly, I mean, I would have been very competitive in the classic lineup that year, and that's part of what started the spark. You know, it's part of what helped me get in that mindset to make the transition and start my journey towards the classic physique.
Yeah. Well, legs is everything when it comes to classic, and the difference between obviously men's physique,
right,
where you got the board shorts, so a lot of the speculation, you got the stuff for years, these guys got no legs. But you had legs. We say, hey, you got any wheels under there, Logan? And you pulled the shorts up, and it's like, man, this guy's got some thighs.
Absolutely. I think that was probably why you were successful coming out, because you weren't just training for the abs and the delt, which a lot of guys do in the men's physique. You were actually, tell us how you got started. I mean, you look like you were bodybuilding from get-go.
No, I wish I had been bodybuilding from the get-go. I mean, I look back and where I got started. I started training when I was 13 or 14. My dad had a little home gym, some weights, a bench press, a pull down. And I used to work out every other day thinking that I needed a full day to recover. And it would take me about a week and a half before I would hit the next muscle or the same muscle group twice. So went about everything completely wrong. Didn't start getting serious about my training until I was 18. I joined the military, the United States Army. I was active duty. And that's really where I started finding the passion for putting on muscle and changing my shape towards, having a better physique. And that's how it got started. I wasn't really looking at, bodybuilding competitively as if I was going to step on stage. At that point in my life, it was I just wanted to have an awesome physique for the girls and to be as lethal of a guy that I could be. And that's where my head was at the time of my life. So that's what my training was for. And I just, I remember watching the guys in the gym at that time, the bigger guys that I thought had great physiques, seeing what they were doing, trying to figure out how to train properly and figure out what exercises did what, and just going through the whole thing by myself. And that's really where it began. And I didn't really start making a press for competing until 2000. What year was it? 2014 was whenever I went to the Mr. Olympia for the first time. It was the first big show that I went to, and that's what really set my eyes to compete. That inspired me. I saw the guys coming off stage. At that time, it was men's physique because I kind of compared to the guys, and I thought that I could compete well with them. So thankful to the men's physique division for getting me into the sport and helping me find my passion to what it is now, and that's trying to be the best bodybuilder I can.
Let me jump in real quick. So how did you wind up at the Mr. Olympia in 2014? I mean, what brought you to Vegas?
So I was flown out there by a photographer. He goes by Pajanese. That's his Instagram handle. And I was just doing a bunch of photo shoots. I was in shape. I was was pretty peeled, and I think I did like 7 or 8 photo shoots there, and that's whenever, like, I was invited by this photographer, and that's how I got there. It wasn't because I just wanted to go. When I got out of the military, I had zero intention of competing. It was literally just I wanted to live the fitness lifestyle. I wanted to have a website. I wanted to motivate and inspire people to change their lives, and I wanted to, you know, try to become a motivational speaker. I wanted to have a website and all this stuff for people to, you know, become a member to and see my videos and all this and that. And it just kind of transformed into what it is now. And I'm definitely thankful that I went to that Olympia in 2014.
How tall are you, Logan?
I'm 6 foot.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a rare that you got a 6-footer. I mean, Dorian wasn't 6 feet, Lee Haney wasn't 6 feet, Ronnie Coleman wasn't even 6 feet, and here you are. You kind of look like a bird that had wings that couldn't fly because the constrictions of being in this classic physique, right? Like every time I look at your Instagram, you're out there doing, like you said, you're working on those poses, which is really what you wanted to show off. So you made the right decision. You wind up going in this competition and you win the title, and now you're qualified to go ahead and compete in the Olympia rather than just sit in the audience at the Olympia. How motivated and psyched are you right now?
Man, I have been on cloud 9 for the last 2 weeks. So I can't, I mean, you know, both of you guys know about haters and people that are doubting you. Telling you
Sean doesn't know. Sean doesn't know nothing about haters. Trust me.
Oh my goodness! I heard so much talk, and I would read so many comments, and you know, to bring the best you got to just drown out all the noise, whether it's good noise, people telling you can do really good, or you can be whatever, or the people saying you can't do shit and you're never going to be anything, or you're never going to win a pro show, you'll never be in the top 10, you'll never make it to the Olympia, you're too small.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
heard that a few times.
Physique guy, what are you doing going to class? You can't hang with us. You know, all these comments, you know, just fuels me. And that's not to say that when those comments stop, I'm not going to be motivated, but it is a bittersweet feeling whenever you have that much negativity driven towards you from, you know, outside people not wanting you to do well, and then you go in there and have a flawless victory.
Well, take us back to 2 weeks ago, Logan. You're on stage. You obviously know you did very well from the prejudging call-outs and such. Night show comes. You're announced as the winner. This now means you've won a pro show in the classic division, and you're going to the Olympia. Take us back to that moment.
And I was so excited. For a minute I couldn't even get my words out correctly. My mom and my stepdad actually watched my show for the first time. They watched it live and they told me I need to work on my speaking because I was just so excited and I had so many emotions going through me at the time because I had done it. I did what I said I was going to do. You know, this wasn't something that I didn't sneak into the show. You know, I'd been preparing for the Dallas Europa, which was supposed to be Father's Day weekend. So I actually started dieting. I think it was March 6th, that first weekend of March, and then all this stuff happened, you know. So I had to reset my eyes to New York whenever Dallas was canceled. I got within 5 weeks of that show, and I posted it. I posted that I was doing it. I let everybody know, and I had a lot of people hyping me up, and I just felt like if somebody wanted to shut me down, they would prepare for it. They would come and take me out, and that's what I called for. I want to compete against the best guys because I want to test myself. That's how I'm going to get better, and that's what brings the best out of me is putting a massive amount of pressure, you know, acquiring the pressure, and then utilizing it to just, you know, have the best prep possible.
Now, Sean, while Logan may have aspired to look like somebody like yourself, you have zero in common, okay?
Well,
absolutely.
But I can say the same thing, Bob, when I started. I mean, I loved Bob Paris, right? I mean, Bob Paris is somebody that's not anywhere in my economy, but I loved his look and I wanted to aspire to that.
The reason I bring this up is obviously you can always aspire to greatness. You had some of the best posing and very classic for its time, even though there wasn't classic back then.
Right.
But a guy that he does compare to very well is the current Olympia champion, Chris Bumstead.
Now we're talking. So now we're going to get into some fisticuffs here. So I noticed you actually called your play. Like literally you're on Instagram saying, I'm coming, I'm winning. case closed, and that's where the haters started coming back. Me and Bob, we didn't have that advantage to like call our shots back in the day, because if we called it, it'd come out after the contest was over.
By the time you wrote the letter, put a stamp on it, got it into the mail, got to you,
It's 3 or 4 months later.
Yeah, the show's over.
Jeez.
You're doing it in real time, so you're right though. Like you have like 1 million Instagram followers, and you have 1 million Instagram haters, and 1 million people that also love you. It cuts both ways, but it's always nice to see you actually call your shot and deliver. Now you're stepping up into deep waters. I mean, you got Breon Ansley, who again, apples and oranges. You're talking about a 5'6", 5'5" bodybuilder with classical lines that's got 2 titles to his credit, the first runner-up, who's on the smaller side. And then you got Chris Bumstead, who you're going to be looking eyeball to eyeball with from Canada, who's the reigning defending champion, who beat Breon in head-to-head competition. We're going on our 5th year of this division. So your arrival is right on time, because really that division, as competitive as it is, needed somebody new to come in there and actually maybe stand between the gap. We don't want to necessarily go back in there and see a rematch of last year. You are the X factor, but how confident are you knowing that these 2 guys collectively have 3 titles to their credit, and now you're coming in? Are you going to call your play this time around?
I'm gonna call my play in a sense that I'm going to get pulled into that first call out, and I just know that I'm going to get pulled in, because I know what I'm going to bring. I know my work ethic. I know the shape and conditioning the level of conditioning that I bring to the stage, and it's only going to get better because I don't shut down my diet. I continue the process. I diet year round. I really do this for real. I don't just blow up after each show. And I mean, my face is still sunken, but I'm getting my weight back. I'm filling back out currently. I know the changes that I'm going to make. I'm going to make impactful changes from now to the Olympia in my physique. So I know where I need to work on, and I know once I bring the certain parts up, it's going to be very competitive with that top lineup. And just like you said, I compare very well with the current champ, Chris Bumstead. Except I have some strengths that he has weaknesses in. And currently he has strengths where I'm weak. I mean, I could say my lats need to be brought up a little bit, which I'm going to be working on. So what's going to happen whenever I bring that body part up, and then, I don't look so men's physique-ish as some of these guys want to say, and I'm standing right next to them.
Well, what's interesting in that is Chris Bumstead has come down from bodybuilding, and you've actually come up from men's physique. So it looks like you guys have kind of met in the middle. Now you're both the same height, which means you're obviously the same weights as the rules go. How much do you think you can compare to the champ? And like you said, you've got strengths and weaknesses, as everybody does. But can you compare in this quick turnaround you've got between now and the Olympia enough to take him out?
We'll see. I truly believe that the title this year is kind of open, and that's because you had Breon win 2 years in a row, and then Chris came in and beat him by 1 point. So to me, that's saying they didn't want Breon's shape. They wanted someone similar to Chris's shape. Although Breon looks fantastic, he's the champ for a reason. He's very complete. He looks crazy. I just feel that the direction of the look they were going for was more Chris's look, and that's why they gave him by 1 point.
You've got a little bit more time to go for this show, and you said you got to, for yourself, it's your last that you got to improve. Clearly your posing is on another level. I know you and I went back and forth a little bit about this pose and that pose, and it's amazing, Bob. Sometimes people are so good that they're trying to look for flaws that don't exist. It's like a model that's beautiful, and she's like, yeah, but my chin and my ears are too big, and they don't see what we see. Your posing, in my opinion, is right there with the best of them for where you're at. Even on the Olympia stage, and you've never been there before. When you get up there and you are shoulder to shoulder and eyeball to eyeball with Chris Bumstead, is there going to be an intimidation factor, or is this something you've been preparing yourself for since you arrived in this division?
No, I'm not intimidated at all. I'm not nervous. I'm excited, and getting in front on that stage every time, whenever I see all of the fans and everybody that came to see the show, it just fills me up with even more energy, and I don't know. I'm gonna bring it, and I'm excited. That's all I know.
I think if you bring what you brought to New York, we're looking at a guy that's challenging for the title.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any question there. You match up very well with Chris Bumstead. You got Breon and the rest of the crew, and it seems to be shifting a little bit more what I would consider more classic physiques, which are going to be taller, leaner. The posing, of course, which Sean's already given you some credit for. So you got all that stuff going for you, man. So you know what? We're down into the backstretch.
Yeah.
You got advice from one of the best in the biz, Hall of Famer Sugar Sean. We're going to see you on the Olympia stage, my friend.
Yeah, man. And so where can people find you on like social media? What's your handles?
So right now, I'm only really running my Instagram, and it's just Logan_Franklin, and it should be the first one that pops up.
All right, welcome to the big show, man. We will see you December 17th to the 20th at the Planet Hollywood inside the Zappos Theater in Las Vegas.
Best of luck.
All right, see you, rookie.
See you.
Well, Bob, that was an interesting breath of fresh air, I might add, because we're talking about a rookie Olympian who doesn't even have the slightest idea of what he's really walking into. It's different when you watch the Olympia and then you're in the Olympia. I mean, what can we expect from him emotionally when he gets to Las Vegas and realizes this is the big show?
As you can see, he's a fighter. He's got a military background. And I tell you, guys with military backgrounds tend to not, they don't get caught up. They've got discipline. They've got dedication. They've been through boot camp. He was in the Army. So, I mean, he's done it. And he did it at a young age. So he's got that killer mentality of, look, I ain't fearing nobody. I'm going in there. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try to win this thing. And I got to be honest, Sean, he's got the tools to do it. We always talk about matchups and how a lineup can kind of dictate who fits in and who don't. This is good news for Logan that Chris Bumstead is the current Olympia champion. Not so good news for Breon. Now, they got to give the guy his due. He's a former two-time champ. But he does not match up with those guys. Not good for him.
Well, at the same time, again, we go back to the apples and oranges because while it may not be good, he does have that pedigree of what exemplifies a classic physique. I mean, he won it twice. He got a first runner-up. I'm not so sure what Breon has to do to his physique to get the attention of the judges. However, the disadvantage is they're looking at a fresh physique, a new look, a new challenger. I mean, they were all looking forward to seeing Dorian Yates in '91 coming to arrive and stand next to Lee Haney, and that was the call out that people were chomping at the bit to see. And luckily for Dorian, he delivered, and he silenced Vince Taylor, myself, and Labrada, boom, on first blush. So you're right, it could spell disaster for Breon. However, Breon's going to have to do something different to his physique.
There's nothing Breon can do. He questioned himself as to what he had to do last year to get that title. He thought he won the title. Listen, not unusual in bodybuilding, bro. We all know that. Everybody thinks they should have won.
Well, notoriously second-place finishers, Labrada, Muhammad McAway, myself, Flex Wheeler. I mean, Jay Cutler was second runner-up or first runner-up 6 times.
And sometimes it's not about what they could have done. It's just that in the matchup, listen, Breon was a great champion. He's a good bodybuilder, okay? But when we talked about classic, and we've gone over this a few times, which is a great topic, what embodies classic bodybuilding? Is it the look? Is it the physique? Is it a combination of both? When we talk classic physiques, Chris Bumstead, to me, and I had him actually winning the year before. I had Breon winning the first one. I had Chris Bumstead winning the second time matchup. He just looks more classic to me. Again, the taller muscle structure, the long lines, again, the mustache even. Okay, it just looks like a throwback. Is that what the judges are looking for? If it is, Logan Franklin fits right in there.
Well, and Logan will close the gap when it comes down to the posing round, which is definitely to his advantage because we know Bumps can perform. We know that Breon's an experienced poser, but this kid looks like this is what he was born to do. And we're going to find that out when we get to Vegas.
If you're Breon Ansley, okay, let's just say you do well here, okay? Well, let's just say he takes another runner-up or he takes third even, or he's somewhere in the top 3, okay? Well, let's say he doesn't win. If you're running his camp, do you take him out of classic? Like, should Breon be a guy who goes to the 212?
I had Breon going to 212 last year.
See, that's what I'm thinking.
I thought last year Breon should have been in the 212, and that's definitely not off the tables because he's got a bodybuilder's physique, another 10 pounds on him, and he's standing there with the best of them. Keelan Pearson, George Peterson, they've got a year up on him because they've made the decision
they're
now.
They're very similar to his physique. Listen, those 3 guys you just mentioned all have really, really good physiques. And all 3 of them could compete, I think, very favorably in the 212. Well, I'm not so sure Breon, just like Logan went from board shorts to classic, I'm not so sure Breon isn't at a point now where he needs to go and move it up.
Well, let's be realistic. He's got to go back to try to win the title. He was second place a year ago, so it's natural to stay there, test the metal one more time, but there's no question in my mind that Breon Ansley is a bodybuilder, especially if you look at his Instagram now, the way he's looking in the offseason and how much he's got to suck down. He's a guy like Flex Lewis. If he puts on another 10 pounds, he could be a totally transformed bodybuilder, bona fide. Not only that, but in the 212 division, you're competing for a little bit more pocket change. So financially, it's a step in the right direction to try to go where the money is, because at the end of the day, it's a business. He's got those Sandell trophies at home with the Classic Physique. Go get the one in the next division. Try to make history like that.
That's kind of cool. Listen, Flex Lewis is doing just that, right? He's trying to become the first man in history, with a 212 and an open Sandow. 2 Olympia titles. Breon could possibly be a contender in the 212.
Well, we're going to pose that question in our exclusive interview with Breon coming up on another episode of Monday Night Muscle. But for right now, we're going to find out the conclusion of this saga in the Classic Men's Physique, which is shaping up to be just as interesting as the Open division and all of our divisions here in 2020 with all these comeback from all these other champions. So for right now, we're going to leave that as a cliffhanger for one of our later interviews with Breon Ansley, a former Olympia Classic Physique winner, and we're going to try to get into the present and follow Logan Franklin on his way to the 56th annual Joe Weider Mr. Olympia weekend in Las Vegas. For Bob Ciccarello, I'm Sean Ray, Monday Night Muscle.